We are gathered here today. We have two esteemed expert panelists to present testimony, followed by our questions, and we want to jump right in. I reordered the agenda following the great suggestion of our Vice Chair, Lucas, that we lead with our guests so that we can hear them, and then we'll come back around at the end of the meeting to give an overview of what took place yesterday at the half-day meeting, and also next steps that the committee should be aware of. And we're very grateful to have Ms. Cirillo here with us as well. So we have Captain Whitehead here too, who will join us in just a minute, a few minutes here. And we're going to begin, however, with Carolyn. I'm going to use all the formalities in the beginning to just say the Executive Director. However, and actually, Vice Chair Lucas, do you want to welcome Executive Director Sarnoff, and then we can jump right in?
Yes, I don't have her information in front of me, but Caroline, Sarnoff is the Executive Director of the Justice Collaboratory. I hope I pronounced that correctly. At
you got it.
Yale University Law School, and we're very pleased to welcome her here tonight in order to educate us as to what procedural justice is and what some issues are that we should keep in mind as we look at reform for our department in the city. So thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Sarnoff.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. And I'm happy to do a little bit of my own bio so you guys know some of my background. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and learn a little bit about procedural justice tonight. Whenever I talk about this topic, I sometimes feel it's a little bit like drinking water from a fire hose. It's a lot. It can seem a little theoretical and abstract. So my goal today will be to sort of try and paint some real-world examples and a picture of how you might see this on the ground. The good news is that procedural justice has been around for decades. There is a lot of research, especially in the criminal justice policing setting. So we will talk today, but certainly this is the tip of the iceberg. It is really easy to learn about this, and there are hundreds of police departments across America and the Americas and England that have implemented this over the last decade. So not talking about anything totally new. This is a pretty standard training and way of looking at things. So yes, I run this center at Yale called the Collaboratory. It's really a social science research center. We like to approach working with the criminal justice system from a really interdisciplinary angle. So while I am personally a criminologist, a background in law enforcement, working also with nonprofits, both on the reform side and with law enforcement, we also have on our staff social psychologists and doctors and community organizers and historians. So when we talk about our work, it's from this very interdisciplinary and broad view. I'm just also, if someone would just give me a heads up with timing, if I've got 5 minutes left or someone can do a 5. So I think I want to start by talking about the 4 tenets of procedural justice and how we sort of got here. So a typical way when we start talking about procedural justice, which is sort of a funny name, it doesn't always embody actually what it is we think about America's sort of traditional approach to crime control and how we get people to follow the rules. And in America, traditionally, we've had sort of this, paradigm where we rely on deterrence theory, right? Everyone knows what deterrence is, which is sort of the swiftness and the certainty of punishment. Okay, so you're not going to commit a crime because if you do, you're definitely going to get caught and you're definitely going to get punished. It's probably going to happen right away. And this deters most people, we think, from committing crime. So what's happened is while deterrence is not a bad theory, what we've learned is there are other theories that do an even better job, okay? And that theory we're going to talk about today is procedural justice. So what procedural justice does is that there are 4 tenets, and basically what happens is when we treat people with neutrality, respect, we give them voice, we convey a trustworthy motive, they are actually more likely to follow the rules than deterrence theory. Okay, so if we have them next to each other, right, and we say, in this model, if you commit a crime, you're definitely going to get punished. Don't commit the crime. But in this model, that might still happen, but the process is seen as really neutral and fair. This group of people is more likely to comply than the threat of punishment people. So let me talk about what these 4 tenets are. And these are all on the website. I should say, again, this info is super accessible, so don't feel like you got to furiously take notes or anything. So first is that the state or the authority, well, we're going to obviously call it cops for the purpose of this conversation. So the arresting cop has to be seen as neutral. So their decisions should be perceived as unbiased and very transparent. Okay, we need the cop to treat the community member with respect and dignity, voice, right? So it's very important that the person on the other side of the conversation has an opportunity to tell their story. And finally, trustworthiness, okay? So that the decision makers are perceived as having trustworthy motives. And the trustworthy thing is really important because we've done a lot of research in big cities, like with the NYPD, which is if we see that a cop is just sort of going through the motions because they've been told to do it, but they haven't really internalized it, the community can 100% perceive that these motives aren't sincere, and it undermines everything else. So it's really important that the community perceives sort of the reconciliation, the trustworthiness as sincere. So we have these 4 things. And from this framework of procedural justice, there was something called the National Initiative. This was through the U.S. Department of Justice. They created something under the Obama administration called the National Initiative to Build Community Trust. And what they did is they picked 6 cities across America, and then they partnered with the Justice Collaboratory, Phil Goff Center for Policing Equity, and James Kennedy, the National Network for Safe Communities, and they came up with a 3-day training in procedural justice. It's an 8-hour training, 3 days in a 3 days. They don't have to be all in a row. You can space them out over time. And the first 2 days are very heavy on procedural justice. The 3rd day is heavy on sort of the mind science of implicit bias. So they rolled this out in 6 cities, Chicago, Birmingham. So it was a unique cross-section of size and geography. And what they saw, especially in Chicago, is that doing just even 1 day of the procedural justice training had very tangible outcomes. And they were not just perception outcomes, right? So sometimes when you see a training, people will just give a pre and post survey. So hey, how do you feel? And then they'll train them and they'll be like, how do you feel now? And what this training and evaluation did was say, okay, we're not just going to ask cops, do you feel better? Do you understand? We're not going to just ask the community, do you feel better? We want to see if we actually see a decrease in outcome. So after these procedural justice trainings, we saw a statistically significant reduction in use of force in the community, and also a significant reduction in civilian complaints. And even, sort of onto the cherry on top is that the cops who went through the training ended up feeling, we had markers of officer happiness, wellness, and safety. Okay, so the cops were saying, I feel more comfortable in my community. I feel better aligned with the mission of my department. My personal wellness, my mental health wellness feels better. So, this training, that seems not that big of a deal, right? We're talking 8 to 16 hours of a time. It's having these really long-standing effects that are just what we want, right? The community feels a little more comfortable. The cops are feeling a little more comfortable. And normally when you do a procedural justice training, you would really do top down, right? So you want everyone from chief, top brass, all the way down to your new line rookies trained. Because we do know from the research, it's just extremely important that, you train everyone top to bottom. So the messaging is all in line. So that's sort of the basics of procedural justice. Some of some of the confusion or critiques around procedural justice is they might say, oh, so you're just teaching cops to make eye contact and be polite, and that's it, right? And that's sort of, sure, we want everyone to be polite and treat everyone with dignity, but there's a whole part about this that is actually very tactical, talking about de-escalation, slowing down. You guys may have heard of a study in Las Vegas around procedural justice and de-escalation. This is another great example of a study where basically Las Vegas implemented this rule that if there is an officer doing a foot pursuit or a car pursuit, they cannot be the officer to make the arrest, right? They have to basically trade it off to their partner or another officer to be the one who actually put hands on the person and makes the arrest. And they found that this decreased, again, significantly use of force incidents because like adrenaline was just high on everyone's radar at that point. So just by simply subbing someone out and saying, okay, you don't get to put hands on, you don't make physical arrests, your partner will do it because they're not all caught up in the foot pursuit or something like that. So the training has these aspects as well, which it's not just about, please use a nice tone. It's also talking about really tactical things you can do. The procedural justice training is also really nice because there's one of the things I like about the training is the first couple of hours, the trainer doesn't even say anything to the cops. It's sort of the other way around, right? It's sort of the people who are in the training get an opportunity to share their experiences in the community, how they perceive the people that they are working with, share their struggles, their frustrations, and then you can kind of mirror that actually with sometimes exactly what the community members are saying. So it's a very nice way to start a very positive dialogue and build a little empathy on both sides of the table, and which I think is a moment where everyone's sort of struggling to empathize with each other, actually. These are sort of the basics of procedural justice. I thought I might tell you about another place this was implemented, which is in Mexico City, which is the largest police force in the Americas, 80,000 police officers. One of our Justice Collaboratory members, Rodrigo Canales, was able to translate all of the materials developed during the national initiative into Spanish and conduct a massive procedural justice training in Mexico City. And it's a little funny when you think about, when I think of Mexico and cops, I think of corruption and I think of distrust, right? These are sort of the things we are socialized to think when we think of cops in Mexico. So when Rodrigo first said to me, oh, I'm going to go to Mexico and I'm going to work on building the legitimacy of Mexico City cops so the community trusts them, we all said, good luck, Rodrigo. May the force be with you. But he was able to get, again, buy-in from very top, from the chief, to the Mexico has a system. It's actually the Mexican police, and then it's, broken up by city. Very high level buy-in. They trained thousands and thousands of officers in this. And then they had a really unique way of evaluating this. They actually ended up doing sort of a secret shopper exercise where they hired actors to interact with the cops. So they'd have an actor call and say, hello, I'm calling the cops. I have this incident I would like to report. It was always an incident that wasn't really a crime. It was really a perception of crime, right? So they have one community member who's saying this thing is happening in my neighborhood and I'm uncomfortable. And so the cop has to show up and sort of de-escalate the situation and decide what to do. So they videoed these interactions, and then they obviously transcribed them and analyzed them. And so it was one way they evaluated this. They also gave every officer who did a procedural justice training a camera. And they said, we want you today to just take photos of what it means to be a cop in Mexico City. They're amazing to see these photos. A lot of them are, they take photos of their families, we analyzed, again, these photos for different themes. So, I guess my point is that we're talking about a really holistic way to help the cops and the community build a mutual understanding and a sense of trust, which is so fragmented. And I think the example of Mexico City being so successful, I sort of feel like if you can pull this off in Mexico, like certainly you can pull it off in Nashville, or Los Angeles or something like that. That's, those are the very basics of procedural justice. A lot of people have, I think we're going to do a Q&A, but a lot of people have questions like who does the training? Sort of depends. Academics don't do the trainings. We develop the trainings. We are not the ones who implement this. We have sort of credible messengers who are retired or are still active duty law enforcement that implement these trainings. We have a list of sort of our favorite trainers that we can refer to you. There are several cities that are implementing this training again right now. All of the trainings are free. The guides that you need, the workbooks, everything are available on the National Initiative's website. If you wanted to bring in one of our trainers, I'm not positive what the fee on that is, but it's very easy. I could put you in touch with, again, some of our trainers. Some states have funding to support ongoing training, and these funds can be used to do, procedural justice training, the 3-day training. Should I maybe stop there and we can do questions? I think it's been about 15, or I can see some people, if you want me to keep babbling, give me a nod, or
Carolyn, I can tell you I'm nodding for the group here, but we welcome you to continue to chat. We also want to make sure we have time to ask you questions too, but if you wouldn't mind just continuing on for a little bit longer, and then we're happy to move forward with Q&A from there.
Okay, great. I think, another point that I would talk about, sort of shifting away from procedural justice, and maybe I'll talk more broadly about where we are at the Justice Collaboratory right now. And if you read any of the pieces that I shared one called Changing the Law to Change Policing, and then another one which is sort of a big picture public safety policy plan. And the reason I shared these two is I think we have a little bit of friction right now with certain municipalities where they feel this urge that they need to do something and they really want to do something immediately. And then they also want to think about long-term reimagination of what it means to have public safety and what safety means to different people. So one of the things that we've been working on is trying to create some sort of solid next steps. If you look at changing the law to change policing, we on the state and local level outline some things that can make a difference. This is from everything to an updated use of force policy to better data collection in the police department. Now, we have also spoken a lot about the necessity for there to be community buy-in and community voice in this process. So we are really advocating for cities where possible to do a survey of both the officers working in the police department and the community members about what sort of social goods, what it means for them to have a safe and vital community. We're in the process of developing the survey instrument right now. We're going to be piloting it in Yonkers, New York, New Haven, Connecticut, and New Orleans. Again, these are 2 surveys and interviews. So there's a whole set of questions and interviews for the police in the community. And then there's a whole set of questions and an interview for community members. And then we take this and we analyze it. And it gives you a nice in-depth snapshot into your specific municipality and what the needs are and what the perceptions are of what's lacking and what's needed. We've done this a lot with cops. We talk to cops a lot about, what they see their role being, what kind of officer they want to be, what kind of a citizen they want to be, what they think the value they add to their community is. But we've really not done a great job of asking community this, and we've certainly never tried to marry the two and then let them complement each other as the start of a conversation. So this is something we're trying to push forward right now in this moment where people are feeling almost a little frantic to move forward and to make change. We're trying to help people think about these are the things you can do today that will bring you some results. These are things we know scientifically make a difference, like procedural justice training. And these are the sort of big picture items we would love to see you explore and move forward with, like surveying your community and your officers about what they're feeling and using that to build your roadmap. And then, there's all these levers that we pull and things that we measure after we get those results. And I think certainly everyone can agree we're in a moment right now where the conversation, we're having historically low crime rates in America right now. We're on a decade low decline. So I think if there's ever a moment to be thoughtful about to think more broadly than just harm reduction and crime control, but instead think about how do we create a healthy, safe community. Now is the time, right? When we're speaking just about safety, this historically we are in a really low period to engage in this sort of conversation.
Thank you. I'll hold my questions and go first to the committee. Any questions from the body here? Vice Chair Lucas?
Yes, hi, Ms. Sarnoff. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for walking us through that. If I could just ask you for a moment, and I know you've sent us some information. I sent around a little bit of information about procedural justice just now as well. But just the very basic tenets. You said earlier that, it's not just about talking to people with respect. What does procedural justice mean? Is it a philosophy of what a police officer should do when they're questioning a suspect? Is it more macro in terms of the leadership and how they approach policing? If you could give us a little bit more of the basics as to what a definition of procedural justice is, so everybody can understand the concept.
Sure. So I'll try and break this down to about 3 sentences. Procedural justice speaks to the idea of a fair process and how people's perceptions of fairness is strongly impacted by the quality of their experience and not just with the end result of the experience, okay? So think about this setting for a moment. A driver is stopped by a police officer. What determines the driver's perception of this experience? Extensive research has shown that the driver's perception of the quality of this interaction depends less on its outcome, that is, on whether or not they receive a ticket, but more on whether they feel that they were treated in a procedurally just and fair way. So these are these 4 central tenets. Do they feel like they were treated with dignity and respect? Were they given voice? Was the decision maker neutral and transparent? And was the decision maker conveying trustworthy motives? For decades, our research has demonstrated that procedural justice is critical for building trust and increasing the legitimacy of law enforcement authorities within communities. As such, it has huge implications for both public safety and officer efficacy in a community. Did that answer that, or would you like a little more?
That works for me. I just want to make sure everybody else feels like they understand the concept that procedural justice, what that really means in the real world. Yeah. Anybody else would like more detail? I see Mr. Robinson's hand up. Would you like to ask a question, Mr. Robinson?
Yes, I have a couple of questions for Ms. Sarnoff. What is the largest department to have implemented the collaboratory guidelines, please?
In America, that would be the NYPD has done the procedural. They've done the procedural justice training, and then they also follow the mayor's office of criminal justice in New York City. Then followed that up with a massive community survey to gauge perceptions of NYPD post training.
Okay, and typically, how long is the training for a department? Which I know would depend on the size. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's highly customizable. So I will tell you sort of like off the shelf, but the whole training is designed so that the city that wants to do it can sort of tailor it to match their needs. So let's say you want to go all in, right? You want to do like the gold version. You say you're at the car wash, the platinum gold service. It's a 3-day training, 8 hours each. Okay, so it's 24 hours total. They do not need to be consecutive. They don't even need to be the same week. You could actually space them out over months, right? So you could do day 1 in 1 month, day 2 in month 3, and day 3, which is the implicit bias mind science piece, in month 3. But they are technically all-day trainings. And it depends on the trainer how many people they want to have in a training cohort. I think, they trained every officer in Chicago. So, like, they made it work. I'm not sure exactly how they split the cohorts up, but yeah.
And asking for Mr. Pulley and Mr. Button, are there grants available for the training?
Yeah, I mean, politics aside, it's kind of a bummer because, the COPS office under, the U.S. Department of Justice previously did have a lot of grants to fund these sort of trainings. We're seeing a bit of a rollback in the funds available to do this on the federal level. I'm sure that will change. I can't imagine that in the wake of everything that's happened in the last 4 or 5 months that we will not see more federal grants to provide training support. Also, most states require COPS to have ongoing training and certification, and those states usually provide grant funds to support a trainer. Like, we're getting ready to do the full 3-day training in Yonkers, New York. The New York Department of Criminal Justice Services is actually going to be paying for that training out of this training budget. So I don't know, Nashville or Tennessee well enough to say particularly, but normally that's typical.
So is it a situation where the chief could appoint a certain supervisor or leader in the department that would go and get immersive training in order to help bring it back? Is that how it works, or do you fly trainers in?
Great question. Again, depends on the size and sort of the long-term commitment to this. So, for example, Chicago, big police force. They did train the trainer. Mexico City, NYPD, they did train the trainer. So they brought in, the guy we really like, his name's Al Ferreira. So they pay for Al to come in, do the couple trainings, but he trains their head of training or whatever, so they can continue moving forward. So either model, you could pay the trainer to come in, do a one-time, or you could say, hey, we'd like you to also train our head of, engagement and diversity and training or something like that.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that, because one of the things that has alarmed us, this group, so much is the budget, and there are great opportunities for training out there, but the budget prohibits a lot of that, and it's sad. Thank you, though. Thank you very much. Sure.
And I'm happy to pass on anything that I see about, those opportunities, but I definitely hear you. And I know it's a particularly stressful time when we're having so many conversations about slashing budgets. And those of us who sort of work in this space understand that we might actually have to keep budgets stable for a while so we can do things like these trainings. So it's a delicate balance.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Councilman Pulley.
Madam Chair, I want to be respectful of the time. I have a couple of questions here. I can do them offline or later or send them in writing if we're pushing the time limit. I'll just leave that up to you.
Well, Councilman Pooley, is it for our guests, or you want some clarifying as it relates to the committee?
For the
I can
guests.
be quick.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you doing this for us. I'm one of these committee members who comes at this from the perspective of having a law enforcement background, having served in a couple of police departments myself. And so I'm coming at this from my personal experience with fellow officers and my own personal experience in the field. Now, I looked at your some of the material, and I'm understanding these 4 tenets. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. My understanding of the tenets is neutrality, trustworthiness, respectful treatment, and listening through voice. Is that correct, Ms. Sarnoff?
You got it.
Okay. And so my struggle is I see a lot of these things in what I once saw and what I once did. And I don't see this personally as new, but I do see, what I do see is an inconsistent application of this, both with the departments and with some of the people with whom I worked. Now, I also want to make a comparison in community reaction and see what your thoughts are with respect to this. When I was a city police officer in the Virginia Beach Police Department, my approach to people during traffic stops and during interactions was much the same as it was when I was a state trooper with the Virginia State Police. The reaction from the community was different, and my perception of that was they perceived the professional level of the department to be different from one to the other. Can you tell me what your reaction is to that, and how it is that we are supposed to do anything different as it relates to those kinds of reactions from the community?
Yeah, that's really hard, and I'll be frank that I don't have like a real answer to that. But I will say this: a lot of the times when we talk about community trust and their perception of the police, we reference sort of this community bank of trust, right? And every time you make a positive deposit in that bank, you get a penny. Just 1 penny, okay? So you're trying and you're doing this positive thing. You did 100 wonderful positive things today. You're up to $1 in your community bank of trust. 1 negative interaction costs you $100. So every time something negative happens, you go way negative, and it takes all these tiny pennies to get back there. So one of the things we talk about procedural justice is how do you like fast forward, right? Like how do you make a large deposit in the community bank of trust, right? Versus these like incremental things over time. And I think what you're talking about is just this, right? That there are some negative interactions that tend to cloud all of the positive investments that other officers are making. And the only way around that is to sort of allow officers to hold their friends and their colleagues accountable in these moments. And that goes for the same thing for the community, right? Is that the community is also holding themselves accountable for these negative interactions. But it's like anything else. You gotta like have a buddy system, and there has to be checks and balances. But when there is a negative interaction and another officer, again, your colleague, partner does not try to immediately hold that negative interaction accountable and try and infuse one of these 4 tenets into the moment, you're just getting this really negative deposit, and it's very hard to get out of the red.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I know it's not much of an answer. It's a tricky question, but I appreciate the nuance of the situation, obviously.
Thanks.
Any additional questions here for Ms. Sarnoff?
I have a question. I'm just curious how the training, I mean, I've been to New York City, I've been to Mexico City. They're very different cities. Is it, when you're having a trainer go somewhere, how much pre-research is done to make adjustments for the community? Because this is one of the things that I feel we talk with our department here about. You know, our officers here, when they're being challenged as to what's happening in other cities, the culture and is different here than it may be to another city. So how is the training prepared for those cities?
Yeah, great question. And I think we would completely support what you just said and say that no training should be totally off the shelf. We can get you really close to off the shelf, but it should absolutely be customized to your city and to your needs. So the training that we've developed has, you know, these places where you can plug in certain things that are specific. And depending on the trainer you use, like I know Al, for example, Yonkers is doing this. Al flew to Yonkers 2 or 3 times, and then they actually decided to pilot the training with a subset of officers, see how they received it. Now they're going to actually break for, I think it's like 4 months, and based on that pilot, tweak the procedural justice training based on it, and then they're going to roll it out to the whole, 700 officers in the department. So that you could see, again, right, like they've chosen the platinum car wash, like they're like going all in. They really want to get this right. So they're going to try and do as customized as they can. That is very reflective of what they've learned in doing this with a small group of officers first.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any additional questions here? Ms. Cirillo?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I did have a question. In Nashville, as we look at the composition of the force, what we see is a force that is 74% white male sworn officer. If you add in white female sworn officers, we're at about 85% white force. And when you look at the demographics of Nashville as a whole, what you see is that white folks only represent about 55% of the population. And so how does the training address the different racial composition and, really, sort of what we're all struggling with right now, which is, the implicit notion of racism. So can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think my answer is going to be short, but maybe not what you want to hear, which is I'm not sure procedural justice training is going to address a disparity in the demographics of your police force. I think that is probably a completely separate issue having to do with training, recruitment, and retention of your police force. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's sort of a different thing. And it's a whole actually other body of science about sort of how you recruit the officers that you want that are representative of your community, that live in your community. I'm sure as you've had these calls, this is sort of an ongoing problem, not just Nashville, but like everywhere, that a lot of cops don't live in the cities and the communities that they police. And it creates this very weird sort of adversarial relationship of we live here, you don't, why are you policing me? You don't live here. So there's just whole body of literature on recruitment, and recruitment, hiring, and retention of a police force that's demographically diverse and representative of the community. And I'm happy to send, if maybe you'll want to invite someone for a future meeting to talk about that. I can share some names.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Cirillo. Any additional questions or comments here from the body? Now, Ms. Sarnoff, we realize that you're on Eastern Standard Time, so we owe you an hour of time. We know that you're at 7:42 or 7:45 while we are sitting here in Central Standard. So thank you for giving your evening to us and your expertise. We really, truly appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you making the time, and everyone has my info, so please don't be shy. I'm happy to follow up and be helpful in whatever way I can.
We sure will. Thank you. We appreciate it. Have a great evening.
You as well.
Thank you. Everyone, thank you for your time and attention here. If you have any follow-up questions, if you if you want to share it with us, you certainly can, or if you need Ms. Sarnoff's email address, please let us know. We're happy to share that as well. And then I want to now just shift here to our second expert testimony and guest here, Captain Blaine Whitehead from MMPD, who leads and oversees MMPD's deployment of the body-worn cameras, and specifically can speak to the West Precinct, where they've made incredible strides in that space. And we welcomed the captain a couple of weeks ago. He's been incredibly flexible with his time, knowing that we have a lot of things that we're managing and juggling here. And so, Captain Whitehead, we welcome you tonight. I believe I saw you already here on the screen, so good evening to you.
Hey, good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak on behalf of the police department and kind of give an update on where we are with the body-worn and in-car camera systems. It's a very popular topic with our community here in Nashville. It's been something not only the community, but the police department has wanted to implement for years now. And it's really sad that we have to say years. But sometimes when you're dealing with such a large project and it being the government being involved with it, sometimes it does take a little bit of time. I came onto this project in January of this year, so I'm somewhat new to the camera processes. But my job is to oversee the camera deployment and their training and kind of the auditing process to make sure everyone is in compliance with the policies and training. So if we have time, I'd like to, I sent you some information, kind of go over where we are this year with the program. So in January, we did have the Department of Justice sent some subject matter experts to Nashville to conduct a site visit, and they were here for, I want to say, two full days. They met with the police department, the district attorney's office, the public defender's office, and some other stakeholders from within the government. And what they wanted to do was see, before we went live with this year's pilot, kind of where we were at and make any adjustments that we need to make so we could really get this ball rolling. We took all their feedback and really sat down and put this process in motion with the goal of we want to do full deployment in 2020. So we hammered out our policy and got that sent out to everyone, and we did a real thorough review with other agencies, with the Department of Justice, and really made sure we had best practices in place. And then in February, right prior to setting out to our deployment, which we had hoped to start in March, we did a joint meeting with the Public Safety Committee of the Metro Council and held a community event down at the Music City Center. We invited everyone from the public to come down and put their hands on the camera systems, the in-car camera systems, and review kind of a presentation of where we were at the time and where we thought we were going. Everyone knows we had, unfortunately, a very horrific natural disaster that came through, and we had to suffer with the tornadoes and then with COVID, but we have still made progress this year. So we're very, very proud of that. In March, we did deploy cameras to all of our traffic section officers, and that's our aggressive driving, our hit and run, our fatal crash investigators, and our school crossing guard officers. And I want to say there's about 24 personnel involved in that section that we fully equipped with the body-worn in-car cameras, and that started on March the 9th. We had hoped to go to a full deployment as far as a precinct, hopefully in the May, June-ish of 2020. That unfortunately did not happen, again due to COVID. Mayor Cooper had to put in a request that all funding be cut from the budget. However, WatchGuard Motorola, who is the manufacturer of our camera system, reached out to us because not only is Nashville suffering from a severe budget crisis, but a lot of other agencies across the country are as well. And they basically offered Nashville a deal that would extend our current contract by a year. And they said, basically, the first 2 years, you don't have to pay us anything. You go, we'll give you all the cameras, everything you need. You don't pay us anything the first 2 years, but starting the third year, you're going to make us payments, and you're going to have these cameras paid off by the end of year 5. And we're not going to charge you any interest on these camera systems. And that occurred June 8th. Mayor Cooper made that decision and made that announcement. Today is October 15th, and that deal has still not been inked. It is currently in the hands of our Metro Legal and Metro Procurement section. WatchGuard has been doing a really good job in working with our folks here in Nashville to get this deal through so we can move forward with the program. We're really hoping we can have some movement on that very soon. It does have to get approved by our Metro Council because it changed the contract terms by an additional year, but we really, really need that approved by the end of the year so we can go forward. We're able to take some of our capital funds, and we went ahead and began deployment to the precincts in July. And we fully deployed West Precinct, and that covers your patrol officers, their traffic officers, their detectives, and undercover precinct investigators. So that came out to be about 91 additional employees there. Right now, as of today, we are at, I want to say, let me make sure I get the numbers right. We are at 127 employees fully equipped with the body-worn cameras, and we have 85 in-car cameras equipped. So meaning each officer gets 2 body cameras, so you can take 127 and times that by 2, and that's how many body-worn cameras we have out there, which comes to 254. And then we have actually 85 vehicles that are fully equipped with cameras, and there's 3 cameras in each car. You have 2 that are mounted to the windshield. One shoots straight out the front, and that covers A pillar to A pillar. That is a panoramic camera. You have another one that is rotatable 360 degrees. The officer points that. Then you have another one that is mounted on the rear shield screen, and that points towards the back seat so we can see if an officer places an item or a person, we kind of know what's going on with that. But Captain, back up just to, yes, ma'am.
Captain, I just want to ask, would you like us to show your slides? I know you're reading off some of the numbers there. Would that be helpful, or would you like for us to, because we all have it too. I just wanted to offer that to you.
Madam Chair, I'll leave that as your discretion, whichever you feels best.
Okay, well, we'll put it up, and then if you decide you just want us to take it down, that's totally fine. But since you sent it ahead, I wanted to make sure we did that.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I want to talk about training real quick, since that is one of kind of my primary roles. So before an officer ever gets a camera system, and we've learned from other agencies across the country and talking to them and asking them, hey, you know, what could you do better in your program? If you could go back in time and redo something in your program, what would it be? And we took all that feedback and built that into our training. So we know how important the training aspect is to making sure officers do what they're supposed to do with the cameras after they get them. So the process starts off with all the officers that are going to get the cameras must watch essentially 3 videos. And if you're a supervisor, you got to watch 4 in our online training program that we have in the department. It's going to teach them about the body-worn camera. It's going to give them the technical aspects, kind of a few policy items. It's going to talk to them about the in-car camera systems, kind of get them familiar with that. It's going to talk to them about our what's called evidence library, and that's our software that maintains all of the digital evidence. And then if you're a supervisor, you have to actually watch a supervisor video that talks about training and their responsibilities as far as auditing videos of when they cannot watch videos and how to go about those kinds of things. Then they will come to the actual day of training. It starts off with getting the cameras and their cell phones and everything synced up and issued to them. A real quick familiarization course just to kind of talk about what they saw in the video. And then we spend a lot of time on our policies and procedures. And we really go through with the training talking about real world type of scenarios, how this affects them as they go about their job. They kind of break at that point and they come back and they go through reality-based training scenarios. And then they have to complete a practical exercise and then a written test before they're actually able to deploy with the camera system. That takes, again, a complete full day of these officers, the officers' time. And that's a tremendous ask of our folks to be able to complete all this. But we realize how important it is, because we know from learning hard lessons that other agencies did, that if you don't do the training right, the officers will not understand the policy. They will not activate and deactivate the cameras when they're required to do so, and they will not utilize the cameras to their fullest extent if they don't have the proper training. So we wanted to get ahead of that problem here in Nashville, and so far I can say that we have with the limited deployment that we have. Now, looking at the future, I did speak to you about where we were on the WatchGuard 5-year agreement. That is, again, not been inked, so we need to make sure we're really stressing to our folks that we need to get that inked by the end of the year. But with the remaining capital funds that we do have on hand, we do fully expect to start, actually next Monday, deployment to East Precinct and the Juvenile Crime Task Force. And that will take about 4 weeks. And the reason that takes 4 weeks is because the car installs are very lengthy. We can train officers very fast, of course, 8 hours. I can train about 25 officers a day. So that goes relatively quickly, but the cars take about 4 hours per car to get all the cameras installed in them. So that's what really slows us down. We have a company that comes out of Houston, Texas, and they are the preferred installer by Motorola WatchGuard, who's the vendor. And they do a really, really super good job to make sure all the electronics are in working order and we don't have any technical issues with the camera system. So we want to make sure we get that right. But that's what slows us down, and the reason it takes 4 weeks. Otherwise, if we only deployed body cameras, I could have that whole precinct and the task force deployed in a week's time. But we gotta take our time due to the car situation. Now, the question I often get is, why did you pick West first, or why are we going to East Precinct and the Juvenile Crimes Task Force next? The infrastructure is the answer to that. Unfortunately, we didn't get to pick the infrastructure at the precincts. It just kind of fell as to the ease. Not all the precincts, the buildings and the parking lot structures are not all laid out the same, so we had to kind of go to easiest to most difficult. And West Precinct's infrastructure was the easiest to do. East Precinct's is the next easiest to do, along with then North and then Madison will be our next buildings that we go into. So we kind of had to follow the infrastructure there, because the cars, the way they upload is they come to the precincts before they end their shift, the officers. They pull into designated parking spots, and in those parking spots, we have wireless access points that take that data on that police car's camera system, and they pull it all off and get it into our evidence library system. Since that video is evidence, we have to have that pulled off prior to the end of each shift that the officer completes. So it's really important that we have that infrastructure in place and have it tested and vetted before the officers get the camera systems, because again, the video is evidence, and we have to be very, very careful with that evidence. Another thing that sometimes comes along with the camera systems, and we need to have an understanding about, and I like to speak about this because sometimes it gets forgotten about. But we can't just give an officer a camera and expect an officer to not be affected by it. So we need to realize that an officer having the camera is going to do a few different things. One of the things that we know it's going to do is going to take some of the time out of their day. We need to know how much time out of their day now are they spending on these cameras when they could be in our communities. Then we have to look at our supervisors as well. How much time are these supervisors now spending on camera issues when they could be in the field with their officers? So right now, through my surveys that I get back, I request each officer complete at the end of their shift a survey detailing how much time they spent preparing for their shift, how much time they spent testing, troubleshooting, and then uploading. And right now, for an officer, it takes about 33 minutes per day. So they work an 8.5-hour shift. So now they have 8 hours to where they normally would have had the 8.5. That they're spent to their normal duties. You want to talk about a supervisor. So the supervisor gets that same time, but they're required to do monthly audits. And depending on how many officers they have, depends on how many audits they have, because you have to do 2 videos per employee per month. So it takes about 30 minutes per video to do an audit. So if a sergeant supervises, let's say 2 employees, well, that's 2 hours out of that month now that they no longer are able to spend in the field with their officers. And that is concerning for us, because we do know from a lot of large scale studies that supervisors being on the scene with the officers drastically reduces the likelihood of the use of force occurring by an officer. So we want our field first line supervisors being in the field with the officers as much as possible. So this is something we're going to take a really hard look at, and it may be something that Chief Drake takes a look at and possibly request more personnel as far as supervisory personnel, because something has to offset that. We can't not look at the video, because the community expects us to be checking these videos to make sure the officers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's not an option. And I don't think the community also would feel that it would be an option for it to not put our officers or our supervisors in the field as much as possible, so that they're reducing the likelihood of those uses of force from occurring. So we have to find a middle ground there, and it could possibly be having more supervisors, maybe having a specific supervisors that just do this, so the supervisors can remain in the field that are those first line immediate supervisors. But I think that's something that needs to be spoke about when we talk in relation to the cameras. Talking about our policy real quick. So the question I'll often get when I'm speaking to people in our community, when do the officers record them? Well, we want to record law enforcement activity. So if I'm, at a community event, I really don't need to be recording people. But if I'm going to a call for service and I'm expecting to get a statement, I'm taking law enforcement action, whether it be an arrest, gathering evidence, taking photographs, fingerprints, I'm doing my police role duties, that needs to be recorded. So the policy requires our officers to turn the cameras on prior to arriving on the scene of any call for service, then prior to taking any law enforcement action such as an arrest or investigative encounter. But what we do not want to have is the cameras tarnishing the good relationship we have with our communities. Because if we go into communities, let's say I go speak at a community event tomorrow and I wear my body-worn camera and I go in there recording everyone, there's probably not going to be very many people that want to come up and talk to me because they know that's public record. And they're not going to want to give me information, possibly if there's something criminal going on in their neighborhood, or if there's something that they just want to speak to me about. If they think that someone could go and grab that and then possibly put that on YouTube or somewhere else, they're going to be hesitant to come and speak to us. So we don't record 24/7 of the officers' interactions, only official law enforcement and investigative activity. Documentation is another big thing that we get. So people want to know, well, how do I know if the officer was recording? Well, if you actually were the person that had the interaction with the officer, our policy requires officers to tell you that they're recording you. Basically, our policy says when it's safe, possible, and practical, the officer will give you a verbal advisement of being recorded. And the training teaches you to use our verbal defense and influence training to essentially not only give a greeting, but to tell them who you are, who you work for, that they are being audio video recorded, and then why they're having that interaction with the person and how they can assist them. So that's kind of our standardized training from the training academy, from the recruit and in-service level to the time they get the body-worn camera training. We just implement that right into that universal greeting. Now, if you were not part of that interaction and wanted to know, was there a recording of that event? So I could be a citizen, I could be an attorney, I could be a judge or someone in the court. It could be anyone. So all of our reports now all have check boxes on them that denotes whether or not the officer had audio or video recording. And our affidavits for the court system have a checkbox on there as well. Was there audio video recordings of this incident? And then finally, our complaint cards that we give out that have incident numbers. Starting this month, we just sent them to print. We'll now have a checkbox on there advising anyone who gets that card whether or not there would be audio and video recordings. And it goes a step further and tells them what you need to do to actually get a copy of that if you're interested in getting a copy or viewing. want to talk real quick about uploads. I spoke just a minute ago about how the cars and how the evidence actually gets into our system. That's probably one of our number one gripes from the officers right now is the uploads, because it is time consuming. You have to remember, we're having a body camera and 3 cameras inside the car that are all shooting in high definition video. That's a lot of data. So right now we see anywhere from 15 to 40-minute upload times for our officers. And remember, they can't go home until that stuff's uploaded. So that's something we have to again, implement into our department to get a culture where we're efficient for our community and also not interfering with our officers where we're having to require them to submit overtime and it's costing the city more money. So we're looking at various things with shifts right now in the department. And we also are looking at technology that allows the vehicles to actually upload anywhere inside the city. Now, it will never be able to upload the entire car worth just due to the size of the data. But if we could even upload 25 to 30% while the officer's going about their day, that would cut a significant amount of time at the end of their shift off. So I just wanted to give an update on that because that's, again, something that if you talk to one of our officers, you ask them, hey, what do you not like about these cameras? That's probably the one and only thing that you're going to hear is I don't like being stuck at the end of my shift, just sitting in my car doing nothing, waiting for it to take the evidence off my car and put it in the system. I'd like to speak about the perspectives of the camera systems. So a lot of times when a department deploys camera systems, they just deploy a body-worn camera system. And Chief Anderson was really adamant about not only having body-worn cameras, but he wanted an in-car camera system to supplement the body-worn systems. And the reason for that was he wanted additional perspectives to come onto that scene, because if you just have the body-worn camera, that's just one camera stream that you're getting. That's one perspective. So bringing the car now into it, you get an additional 3 cameras in there, so that's an additional 3 perspectives. So if an officer working patrol equipped with both in-car and body-worn cameras comes onto a scene, we're now getting 4 additional perspectives in addition to theirs of what happened on this scene. And we've saw already, looking at incidents, that it's been very beneficial where an incident has occurred in front of the car and the officer be seated in the vehicle. Well, his body-worn camera wasn't able to capture what occurred outside the car because the car instruments are obstructing that, but the dash camera was able to capture that, and it really helped piece together the entire story. Now, that will not happen every time. Every incident that we're involved in doesn't happen around our police car, unfortunately. Every incident's not going to occur directly in front of us at that perfect angle. So we just need everyone to understand that while the cameras are definitely beneficial, no one, I think, can question that. It will not bring the only perspective. And that's what we really have to get, not only our community to understand, but even the officers. We have to get them to understand that you can't just go to a scene now and write your report, see video, because that video is not going to tell the entire story. There's going to be things you saw, heard, could have smelled that you may not have been looking in the direction that you saw or heard something and the camera didn't pick it up. And we need that documented in the report. So it's a very delicate situation because you get into a habit of watching TV and thinking that what you see on camera is the end all be all, when really there's other things going on outside the camera's perspective. But it is definitely beneficial to have all the cameras that we have. I know there's a lot of large agencies that just went with body-worn cameras due to funding. They didn't want to spend that extra money to get those additional perspectives. But I can say here in Nashville, we've already benefited from having those additional perspectives, and I'm glad Chief Anderson went that extra mile. And our in-car cameras are the same manufacturer as the body-worn cameras, so they fully integrate. So we can go back and sync those videos up completely and watch side by side. And I put a screenshot in there of Officer Nave, who's our aggressive driving officer, team officer. You can see side by side the videos lined up of what his dash cam sees and then what his body camera sees. And you can watch those completely in sync, side by side, listen to different audio sources and kind of get a better picture of what's going on. So by the time you hear from the people that were on scene, whether it's the officers witnesses, and then you start piecing together the audio that's present on the officer, the audio that's present in the car, and then look at the video. It definitely helps you gain a better understanding from what actually occurred at each one of these scenes. But that's kind of a broad overview that's saying a whole lot in a little bit, and I could talk to you guys all night long. But I'd like to hear what questions you might have, so I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Captain Madid. I'll just kick us off here, and then I can pass it over to the body. When you mentioned the both the compliance and activation audits, are those audits that will be available to the public?
So currently the police department audits are not covered under public records, okay? Now that might be something we decide at a later time to change. I don't have a problem sharing that because we do want to be transparent. And I can tell you right now, I've been very, very impressed with the supervisors doing a very thorough job in the audits. If the audits had come back and it was showing us in 100% compliance, I would really be scratching my head. We're not. So what we shoot for is to be into a 90+% compliance rating. And we have a bunch of different categories. And I'll kind of give you some. It ranges from was the officer's camera mounted where it was supposed to be, to were they professional? Were they demonstrating the appropriate knowledge, skills, and abilities that they should be demonstrating? Did they document what they were supposed to be documenting? Was there any kind of racial profiling or bias-based policing observed, or has there been a pattern of that? And did they fully comply with the body-worn in-car camera policy? And the supervisors have to, first off, look at the reports associated with the incident that they get chosen to audit, and then they watch the full video from start to finish, and then they have to complete this audit. Now, I would say one thing that we learned also from other agencies prior to starting this is other agencies would allow their supervisors to pick what videos they audited. We completely computerized our audit process. So a computer generates the audits and picks them for the supervisors. The supervisor has no way to select which incidents and officers they get audited. Every officer must get 2 audits. The computer picks the 2 audits per employee per month. And we put things into the computer that randomly generates this, so they're not getting easy calls like a business check or a meal break or something simple. It's going to be a real call for service, something that the officer was taking law enforcement or investigative action on, so we can really get a good, accurate caption or picture of what occurred there. And I can tell you, I've been really amazed by, I think this is going to help our department go to the next level, because I think I like to call them a performance audit. I've already saw the supervisors notice little things, such as, I'll give you one example. An officer had given advice to a citizen that was, frankly, it was incorrect, and the supervisor noticed it. And so the supervisor was able to document that in the audit, set that officer aside, explain to him what he saw in the video, teach and coach the officer what should have been said to that community member. And now that won't be a problem again, because now the officer felt compelled to give information, even though it was incorrect information. He felt compelled to, well, at least now he has the correct information. And going forward, we now have that documented. We've had the coaching, that's documented. And going forward, if we was to see that again by that officer, we know we'd have to take a different method. But I imagine that that's all that's going to be needed. And that officer now, for that next community member that he has that question come up with, instead of giving wrong information, he's giving right information. But if we didn't have these cameras, that citizen didn't complain, didn't say anything to anyone, we would have never known about that. And that's the kind of things that I think is going to take this police department to the next level.
Thank you, Captain. I think you make a great point there that there's an opportunity for MMPD to assess and make course corrections, do internal dialogue before there is a community complaint. I know also the supervisor audits you mentioned, I believe also I've heard you have semi-annual audits as well, right, that are done by program administrators. Is that correct?
Yes. So there will be two different types. There's two per administrator. There's myself, and then there's one on the technical side. So the technical side of audits will look at, is the camera actually recording audio and video? Are these cameras doing what we paid for them to do, or are they having technical issues? And so I'll give you like an example. One of the technical issues that we've had is the cameras coming unsynced. And that's something we're working with the vendor getting to happen. It only happens very minor amount of time, but it does happen from time to time. And that's something that they would catch on their audits. What I look for on my audits is, first of all, I audit the audits. I want to look at the supervisors that have audit, and are you doing a thorough job? Are you doing what we expect you to do, or are you just checking boxes? So I first need to make sure our audits are correct. And then I go in and do the exact same audit as well, looking in from a different perspective, because I don't supervise any of these officers. They don't work directly for me. So I get to go in with a fresh set of eyes, not knowing who the officers are. And again, randomly selected, not me picking what audits get done. And then I go in with a fresh set of eyes and get to look at it and see if something has been missed.
Thank you. Any questions here from the committee, the body? Vice Chair Lucas.
I just wanted to, first of all, thank you, Captain Whitehead, and attest to the generosity of your time. You have been, not just to this commission, but to NOAA and other community organizations, and thank you so much for that. It's, I think, been incredibly helpful to be able to communicate as much of this information as we can back to the community and let them know what an effort is being made. I just had two questions for you really quickly. First of all, this rollout in the West Precinct is kind of a pilot, is it not? Like, to work out the kinks, like you said, the download times, or I'm sorry, the upload times. When are you anticipating it being rolled out citywide?
Well, thank you, Ms. Lucas, and it's good to see you again. I appreciate the very kind words there. So that is a great question. So starting 2020 in January, when I started, we had planned, the planned pilot of this year was to start with traffic. We knew there would be hiccups there. We polished those kind of birds, if you would say, up real good, and then we jumped into West. There was a little bit of delay there that we didn't like, but we made it happen. And then West was to be the second and final pilot of 2020. And that would get us to where we knew basically a foundation of information to go forward department-wide. And I think we're there. The only thing that is holding us up right now, as I mentioned, is that agreement being signed by Metro and WatchGuard, because we no longer have the funds after we go past East in the Juvenile Crimes Task Force to go further. I hope to have that to where starting by end of January or 1st of February, we hit the road running, and all infrastructure is supposed to be in place at the precincts by the end of the year. So the only thing that we like is just to get the funding to purchase the actual body worn and the in-car cameras for the rest of the other precincts, and of course the investigative roles. But bar that, there's nothing holding us back. And I'm really optimistic that we're going to get that agreement signed soon. I just spoke with our IT director, Mr. Singleton, before I came in here just to get an update. And our legal and procurement and WatchGuard folks have all been meeting this week virtually to get this hammered out. So I really want to see that hopefully on the council's agenda next month, because again, it's going to take the 3 readings. So we really need to get that hammered out, because we're ready. We're ready to go on the side of the police department. We want to get this done. But absent getting that agreement signed, it's going to hold us up and put a significant delay into our progress. So we really want to try to get that hammered out as quickly as possible.
Great. Thank you so much for explaining that. My last question is, if you could explain to the committee what the consequences are for officers if they are involved in not just an officer-involved shooting, but are involved in a complaint of misconduct of some kind, and we know that resides on a spectrum. and their body-worn cameras and or their dash cameras are turned off?
That's a good question. That would be, from my perspective, doing what I do would be a worst nightmare type of case, because I've trained each one of these officers personally. They know what to do, what's right and what's wrong. So we have an element in here, we're all humans. And this is especially hard for officers like myself that have been doing this for a while and now have a new piece of technology put on. We know there's going to be cases to where the officer is going to forget to turn them on. I've seen it. Not only has our audits caught it, but the officers have self-reported it as well. And there's been a handful of those. And I can say out of every one of those handful, there has been no ill intent on the behalf of the officer. It was all, I'm a human. I absolutely forgot. I have no excuse other than I totally forgot to do that. Now, I spoke about the human aspect of that, of forgetting, because we are human. We're creatures of habit. We get into our routines. Our new officers, once they come online with these, they will know no other type of policing. I say we will have very little error rate with the new recruits that get them from the start. But our veteran officers, the 1,400 that we have out there, those are the ones we really spend a lot of time in training on telling them, really got to get this built into muscle memory. So that's the reason we add into that training day, that reality-based training, to get them in these habits, these good habits. And after they get out of that training, I'll really look hard at those officers and just really nitpick their videos just to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And of course, we're still going to have a small error rate. But now on the flip side of that, we have an officer who intentionally does not turn their camera on because they know they are doing something wrong or against policy, law, whatever it may be, but they've intentionally decided that I'm not going to turn my camera system on because I know it's going to cost me to get in additional trouble or be evidence used against whatever it might be. Our policy makes that very clear, and so does our training. You turn your badge and gun in if you found that you've done that. There's no excuse for that, and we would not. There's a zero tolerance for that. If it's found that there was an intentional non-activation of that camera system, you're no longer a Metro police officer at that point. But the line on that is, though, intentional. And sometimes, yes, that could be hard to prove. But I want to say we do have somewhat of a backup method in place. So depending on when we found out about the camera systems not being activated correctly, our camera systems are built to passively record, because we want each time an officer presses their activate button to capture 60 seconds before that to go with their video. So just in case they had to jump out on something immediate and they didn't have time to activate their cameras, they can activate them later and we still get that video. So their cameras are passively recording constantly. If we get information that an incident happened about roughly somewhere within 24 hours, if we can get a hold of those cameras, there's a good chance we can pull all the video off those camera systems, even if the officer did not intend to record them. Now, we don't get any audio with that. It doesn't record the audio going on in or around, but it does record the video. So I'll give you an example that we have an officer, he decides he's going to do something illegal. And he doesn't take his body camera off, he leaves it on, and he goes and commits this illegal thing, but he doesn't activate it like he was supposed to have activated on this call or incident, whatever it is. We get the complaint, something comes in, we find out, however it is we find out. We initiate that investigation, we go and look and we say, oh, there's no video of this, but there should have been. We can get a hold of those cameras and immediately pull them and do a hard download of them and pull every bit of the video, and we would have video of that officer doing whatever it was that he was not supposed to be doing. Does that make sense?
It does. Just to clarify, that is the official policy in the manual, that if, and I know what you're saying is that it's hard to necessarily prove that, but if an officer intentionally turns off their body-worn camera or their dash cam and are found to have engaged in misconduct, that they will be terminated. That's the official written policy?
Yeah, so the policy says that it's considered serious misconduct to be categorized as an AA offense, which in the matrix is termination.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that information.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions for Captain White?
Yes, Captain Whitehead, I'd like to also thank you for coming and sharing of your time. I did want to ask, have you noticed any changes so far from before body cameras and after body cameras in the force, in the psyche, in the thoughts, in the feeling, in the morale, or anything? Have you noticed any changes or impact maybe the body cameras have made in any
That's a good question, Mr. Jackson. And I wish this was going on in a normal year and we didn't have all the incidents surrounding law enforcement, and it's being a political year and a pandemic year and a natural disaster year. So it's kind of hard sometimes to put your thumb on certain things to determine what exactly is the cause of this effect. But I would say that I have found it interesting that I'm not aware of any complaint being made against an officer that has been deployed with a body camera. So I think that goes to say something for the officers and the community. When you put a camera on an officer and then you're putting everyone on notice that everything's being audio and video recorded, I think it makes everyone be on their best behavior. So I think there's a lot that, again, that could be absolutely no correlation between the two whatsoever. But we've been, again, running some of these cameras since March the 9th of this year. And I'm not aware of a policy violation complaint against any of our officers that have been wearing these cameras since then. So again, I think they're having a positive effect. I know the morale towards the cameras from the police department, that's something we always have to worry about. We want our officers to do their jobs. We don't want them to be afraid to interact with the community. We don't want them to be afraid to make arrests when they need to. And I think the morale towards the cameras from the officers has been really, really good. They look at them as, again, like I said, holding everyone accountable. So I think overall, so far, positive, lots of positives to talk about.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any other questions here from the body?
I have a couple of questions for Captain Whitehead. Captain, when the new officers roll out into the field and then they have a supervisor or trainer, I can't remember the exact term, but will both the trainee and the supervisor of the trainee, will they both be wearing cameras?
Yes, Mr. Robinson, thank you for that question. Yeah, and that's a good question. So the goal is, with this agreement being signed, is I want to start training our field training officers, and those are the officers, supervisor, once they graduate the academy. You'll hear them referred to as FTOs. My goal is to have them trained no later than February. Our next recruit class graduates in March. It would be my hopes to get this agreement signed in times where I get the field training officers fully equipped no later than mid-February. I train the new recruits while they're in the academy. And when they come out, not only will the FTO have them, but also the new officer that is in training will both have the cameras, and our system works really well. So not only will the FTO's camera be synced up to the car, the new officer in training will also be synced up. So we'll have all three camera systems fully synced and talking to each other and working together.
Okay. As a follow-up, and I don't think I missed it, but I could have. I assume all of patrol will be wearing cameras. That's the goal, right? And then what other divisions, as far as SWAT or CID, or I'm curious, who do we know who will definitely not be wearing cameras? Thank you.
Yeah, that's another excellent question, and I apologize for not having that already covered. That's a really good one. So, obviously, all the officers that wear a uniform will have the camera on. It will now be part of their uniform. If you see a police officer, once we go full deployment, anytime you see an officer in a uniform, part of that uniform will now be a body-worn camera, just like their badge. You will now see that on their uniform. So we will deploy these cameras to every single one of our sworn people, because no matter what role you are in this police department, we might have something tomorrow where you're now required to wear this uniform. You will now have that on. So essentially, the only time that an officer in an on-duty capacity will not be wearing a camera is if they're plainclothes, detectives, something like that, where they're not identifying themselves as a law enforcement officer, not taking law enforcement action. So let's say I'm a undercover officer. So I would not be wearing that while I'm in my undercover role. However, I've done my investigation and now I'm going to go serve a search warrant. I'm now putting on a vest that says Metro Police. Well, that camera is now going to be on that vest that says Metro Police. So anytime I'm identifying myself overtly as a police officer, that camera will be recording. So SWAT, Vice, investigations will all have the cameras. And when they go into that enforcement role, that's when the cameras come out and will be on those officers.
Okay. Follow up to that. How far up the chain of command will be assigned cameras?
Yeah, another good question. So that's not specifically mentioned in our policy, but our standard operating procedure on that is all lieutenants and below will be fully equipped.
Okay. And as far as a lay person being able to request a copy of body camera video, I have heard chatter that it's going to be a difficult process. It's not just something you can write in and request. Is there a policy on the availability of body-worn video or any type of video at this point, and how it's going to be made available to the public?
Yeah, so we have the policy and everything's there. We've already had several Freedom of Information public records requests occur on just what we've recorded so far. So it's made just like a standard records request would go. Like if you want a copy of a police report and you fill out the same form, instead of checking the report, you just check, I want body worn or in-car camera, and you can email that in or take it down to records. It's a hard copy. And essentially what we do is we put that video on a thumb drive. The biggest concern for us on the police department side of that is the time that it takes for us to process that, because we got to redact it. State law, federal law tells us we've got to redact certain things. Just to give you an example, juveniles, healthcare facilities, obvious things like that. So we want to be fast on those requests. If a community member comes in and makes that request, we want to get it to them as quickly as possible. So we're slow, though, on the process of that because we only have one employee right now that does that. And we've actually brought a sworn officer in off the streets to supplement that because of our concern. We want to make sure we have people trained on what the process is for that, what the law says. So we've got 2 people right now in our department that are trained on that. And then after they complete their redactions, it goes to me and to our IT director. And we've got to review it to make sure it's in compliance with the law. And then it gets sent to records and they release that on the thumb drive. And they also have the option that they're told about. If they don't want to pay for a copy of the video, they don't want it to take home, there's viewing rooms here at police headquarters. You can come down free of charge. We'll do the same redaction, have it set up, and you can watch the video here at headquarters as well for no charge.
Okay. I think that's all I had. What is the charge? I might as well ask that while I've got you.
So the thumb drive, it's unbelievably cheap. I want to say they charge like $4 for the thumb drive. The first hour of redaction is free, and then after that first hour, it's the actual cost of that employee's hourly rate, what they're making.
Okay.
So it's very, very minor because it generally doesn't take more than a couple hours to do that redaction.
And I'm assuming if there's an open investigation, just like police reports are not available, if there's a pending or open investigation, the same will be, that'll be the same policy for the body video.
That is correct. So if it has an open case status, the only exception to that would be if there was a critical incident involving a police officer. Both Chief Anderson and interim Chief Drake has both made it very clear that if there's something that happens within the police department, even if it does have an open status, we want to be transparent, and both chiefs have said that we will do our best to get that video released to the public.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate how you're doing this and getting this rolled out.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Any additional questions from members of the committee?
I have three, and I'll be very brief. Is there any kind of indication so that someone knows when the camera is on, like a light or something? How long does the footage live in the cloud, and how easily can it be deleted?
Okay, good questions. So the first one, no, there's no lights on the cameras because we have the officers deactivate those for safety reasons. We wouldn't want an officer going into a dim or low light situation where they're searching for a suspect and then that kind of giving the officer away. So that's the reason we made it policy that anytime an officer comes in contact with someone that they're reporting, we make the officer tell them, hey, just let you know I'm wearing a camera. Our data goes to servers here at the police department. We do not use WatchGuard's cloud server. So we own that data. If something happens to that data, it's no one's fault but members of those police departments. We hold a lot of pride because we don't want to be hacked, and we've not been hacked. So we do a really good job of protecting that data. The system, the only way something can get deleted off of the system is once it falls under our set policy. So we have retention, and just kind of give you a example of how that works. So when the officer concludes their reporting event, let's say they go to a call for service and it results in an arrest. So they would categorize that video with their department phone as an arrest. That then starts our policies, internal policies within the software. So an arrest by our policies is set to purge at 7 years if there's not anything else going on. So what I mean by anything else is the case still open? If it still has an open status, it will never purge until that case status is closed and then hits a retention limit. If our detectives have taken a copy of that video and put it in their electronic case file within our system, it will never purge until that detective closes it out. So we have methods outside of normal retention that could keep the video longer, but the video will never get deleted before it hits a retention. Our policy is specifically set to, we never go in and delete a video. We can't. It's not even possible. It has to be done by the retention periods that we have set. That's the only way videos are purged out of the system, is once it hits the retention and then our rules that we have set. That's the only way a video could ever get erased. I'm an administrator in the system. I can't delete a video. It's just not even possible.
So if it met that criteria, then like you said, it would be a 7-year life before it would be removed from the system.
Yes, and what would happen, so once that date comes up that it's purged, our system generates a report, and then there's several people that have to go down and look through that report and check incidents also, just in case something got put into the system wrong. We even look at it because we don't want to delete a video before it needs to be deleted. So there's a lot of checks and balances in there to make sure videos don't get purged before they need to be.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's great questions. Thank you, everyone. Any additional questions or comments here for the captain? Captain Whitehead, I shared with Ms. Sarnoff, I have to say with you, you might be on Central Standard Time, but we're still taking your dinner time up. So thank you for extending all this energy and purpose to us. Thank you for also, it seems very clearly that you value the importance of communicating to the community what is going on so that they feel fully informed. And I can't thank you enough also for saying yes quickly when we reached out to you. Thank you so very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And again, thank you for allowing me the time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a great evening.
You too. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone, we have just 2 more things to touch on in the agenda here. I want to go straight into our just an overview of yesterday's planning session and just it's kind of as comprehensive as I can, but while also answering a few questions. And I think the best way to do this is actually, and I did not give Dia any alley-oop here, but I think it's best for Dia to kind of share what their approach was, the methodology behind the way we brought all the recommendations together, and then I can speak more specifically to our policy side of things. That works for you, Ms. Cirillo.
Happy to do so. I'm just going to share quickly the results of the planning day. So we'll walk into this from the results back in to the process. And so coming out of the planning day really gave us some thematic cohesion across all the committee's work. And so what that really looks like is an overarching goal, which came out of specific future conditions that folks want to see. So the overarching goal is to build community trust and confidence in MNPD overall and across each neighborhood with MNPD. Specific results that will put us on track to achieve this goal are 4. These were sent to you earlier today. The first specific result is MNPD must reflect the diversity of our community at all levels and in all departments of the force. The problem that was really discussed in the half-day planning session, there are other issues as well that the Workforce Committee identified, but a clear problem is recruitment and promotion behaviors currently working against this goal. The second specific result is really racial disparities in all types of use of force are eliminated and reported publicly to address the perception of widespread inequitable use of force. So one of the problems that were identified yesterday was some use of force showed disparities in use, and the community believes use of force is widely inequitable. The third specific result that was identified was the presence of police will be viewed as an increase in safety and conflict resolution in all neighborhoods. So a specific problem that was identified yesterday was that vulnerable communities are reluctant to call police and view their presence as an increase in the risk of conflict. And then the final specific result that came out of the planning day was that the culture and behaviors of MNPD reflect an equitable distribution of discretion and skills to fairly engage across all encounters. So I think what is important about the problem that was identified, that current training and promotion policies and procedures really equip officers, sort of differently across the force with skills to connect with diverse populations. So we can see out of the West Precinct, we looked in the community's committee testimony that out of the West Precinct, there is a model that appears to be working, but that model, really doesn't impact the force as a whole. So there really is a question of how do all officers get equipped to connect with diverse populations. So this is a working draft framework. I think, there will be some wordsmithing, but essentially in terms of actual planning process, what we're looking at doing is ensuring that committee recommendations fit in the area around recommendations, and that problem definitions reflect, what has come out of committees as well. So if we back up even further, what we know is that last Friday we asked for all 3 committees to submit their recommendations so that we could take a look at them and see what are the dominant themes. And so during the half-day session, we asked for folks to divide up in 4 different groups to speak to some very dominant themes that came out of the recommendations themselves. The reason we did it that way is so that we could get to the sort of highest level of summary around what are future conditions that have to be in place to really demonstrate change. And then what do those future conditions tell us about an overarching goal, which gets us back to where we started, which is our goal is to build community trust and confidence in MNPD overall and across and in each neighborhood. So the real problem is there are significant gaps in community trust throughout the city.
Thank you, Mr. Rollo. Let me pause here, and before I share my perspective, I just want to open the floor. Any questions from the committee based on what Mr. Rollo just shared? Okay, feel free to unmute if there is. Oh, Vice Chair Lucas, feel free.
Of course. Just to clarify, are these 4 areas, are those the only 4 areas, and are there only going to be 2 problems allowed underneath each area? What are you anticipating in terms of how much will be nested under each one of these 4?
So, first and foremost, the charge to committees right now is to be sure that your recommendations are complete, in the sense that if you feel there are any gaps, that there are other topics that you want to cover or to get into your recommendation, now is the time to do it. This framework will incorporate all recommendations, but in order to make sense to folks outside of the committee process, we really need to be thinking about how these recommendations support a future condition, a result, right?
Oh, absolutely. Kind of those performance indicators that we had talked about.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
I got you. No, I was just concerned about, there's a lot of different recommendations that have been made, and I just wanted to make sure that we weren't limiting ourselves to 8 problems and 8 recommendations.
No, we just want to eliminate any duplication.
Oh, sure. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
To Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to clarify, and I may have missed something as it relates to this somewhere down the road, are our recommendations working draft, or are they final, the ones that were submitted by our policy committee?
So those were a working draft of my understanding of what the committee has worked on so far, and it represents your work up until this point. Each committee has, including tonight, 3 meetings left. So you'll have 2 meetings after this. So you have an opportunity to look at your full recommendations, and I'll, let's see if I can share them here. So here's the October 9th draft that we received. It's 16 pages from your committee. Is you can look at that document and identify, are there gaps in it? Are there areas that the committee would like to issue in a recommendation that it hasn't had a chance to? Or are there recommendations that you want to polish further and be more specific in your language?
Okay. I was under the impression that maybe we would have an opportunity amongst the committee to have a more thorough debate over the recommendations that we have submitted. And that's kind of what I'm looking for down the road.
Yep, no, you're absolutely right, Councilman. We have a full meeting set aside to do just that.
Okay.
And we will reshare the document that I believe I shared with everyone right before we submitted it. But next week we'll have 2 guests that will speak, and so we'll have a bit of time. I believe, Chair Lucas, keep me fair and right here. I believe they're going to be speaking together and offering their perspective, but we'll give them the full time there. And then we'll still have time to talk a little bit about our approach for the October 29th meeting, which will be completely dedicated to discussing our final approach here. But we do have November 5th as well, should we need it. And so we don't have to try to squish everything into 1 2-hour piece if we can't get it done.
Okay, thank you very much. That answers my question. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anything else you would add to that, Mr. Rowan?
No, I think that's right on the money.
Okay, gotcha. Vice Chair Lucas, I see you raised it.
No, that was just from my question. I forgot to unraise my hand. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I do it too. No problem. Let me go to Ms. Bilal.
Yes, I also wanted to add that I think one thing that we should consider is that the Community Oversight Board has made some great recommendations that are viewable right now for public comment, associated with the Aid Can't Wait, associated with use of force, and some other items. And I think that we should strongly consider there are things that almost everything that they have recommended, we have discussed and also recommended, except theirs has been backed with tons of research and national standards and all of that. And so I think that we should consider just reviewing those and incorporating those, if we can, into what we're doing, so that we can say, you know, as the Community Oversight Board has recommended, we also agree with items 1 through 8, you know, in XYZ. In addition, we would like to add Y. I mean, I think it will give us a lot of research backing that we don't have just as a committee that's, you know, had to put this together in a very short amount of time. It kind of gives a lot more substance and detail to the work that we want. And then I also just wanted to say that when Mayor Cooper came into the meeting yesterday, and I kind of just presented in general what we were doing, he specifically said to me, I want to know specific words in our policies that are not working and what you recommend that they say. I mean, that is a very huge level of detail. And I think Dee and I discussed that afterwards. I was like, does that mean, you know, pulling the training manual and, you know, going through it with a highlighter? And obviously I don't think that's something that we can do. And so we kind of talked about ways to give the mayor what he wants, which is maybe more detail than we've given so far. But he specifically wants to know what policies are in writing right now that the police have that they're not doing or should be doing, or that we need to add. And what about Aid Can't Wait are we not doing, and what should we be doing? And I feel like he really wants a lot of detail. And he said that to our committee specifically, not to the other two as much. And so I guess we need to just maybe address how we should best go about that, adding some more detail to what we've done so far.
If I may just jump in on that, and Mira was great in the meeting yesterday, and I think that one opportunity, certainly a full policy review, people hire external consultants to do that, so we wouldn't want to put that kind of full burden on the committee. I think that, however, this committee has identified inconsistencies and areas that are vague. And certainly the conversation recently on no-knock warrants was a really interesting one, because I think there was an assumption that there was a clear position, but because of the way that it's reflected throughout the policy and training manuals, there is confusion. So that's a great example of where does there need to be consistency across all presentation of policy and procedure on critical issues related to use of force and de-escalation. So I think some of you have come across those already. And so I think the other question is, are there other areas that fall within the jurisdiction of the committee, specifically around use of force and de-escalation, where you might have identified inconsistencies as well?
It's a very good point. Okay, I want to take time to say two things. One, I want to thank Ms. Bilal again for being there yesterday. I myself had a hard stop of noon yesterday, but Ms. Bilal was there to represent us, especially during the mayor's comments, to represent our committee. So thank you so very much. I think it's important also for us to recognize two things as well. So my part two has two subparts here. One, that we have done a tremendous amount of work here already together collectively. And because of the meeting yesterday, we are in a good spot to figure out what comes next. And right now, as your chair, I can be very honest with you, I don't feel comfortable outlining for you right now that we need to do X, Y, and then Z. So we are taking the next couple of days to go through all of the feedback, the framework, the draft report, so that we can come to the table next week with very clear guidelines so that everyone's very clear about how we want to be engaged. What I can promise you is that we are not looking in any way to say that something that is a part of our draft recommendation is somehow less important, but rather we need to figure out how to fit it within the framework so that it is something that can be communicated easily. And we've also spoken about things that perhaps we are looking at being a long-term project that needs the partnership of the COB. And so we'll work on all of that, because I think another piece of this that Dia has outlined for us is that we need to communicate what the timeline would be for some of these recommendations. Is it 6 months, 12, 18, so that we're very clear about what the expectations are. And I think we've already been speaking about what can be short or long-term goals. But we'll have all of this outlined for everyone, and of course, always open it up for dialogue here so that everyone has a space for communication. If anyone has thoughts about this, one, we have, time here. We can talk more about it now. But I just wanted to offer that to you, that we're going to really take the time over the weekend. We'll meet early in the week, next week, to kind of hash out how we can do this in a truly methodical way here. So any questions, comments on that part? I'll go on mute here.
I also wanted to add in there, Ashley, and I think maybe Dia brought this up, that, what we were thinking about, we have a lot of great work here, but I think and actually Mayor Dean also said this, maybe we can almost create some sort of checklist, and then that way we can give that to the new chief, whoever he or she may be, and it really will make sure that what we are doing clearly gets done. If we just say, the police need to reflect the diversity of our community, and we don't necessarily give a checklist on how to do that, then it may not be, even though we as a committee have listed a million ways that we think that should be done. I think we just have to think about the specifics and how we want to do that and put it out there, because I think that's what Mayor Cooper said that he really wanted, and what Carl Dean said they really wanted too. And Dia had mentioned maybe we should, do more like a checklist format at some point. That actually, and I don't know if that's a separate document, but maybe that's what actually goes to the new chief, so that they can really exactly do the work in that 0 to 3 months time frame, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 18 month section that we want it done. So each section with a checklist of how we see these overall 4 or 5 things, or however it is that we want to do, actually being done and carried out.
It's great. Mr. Lewis?
Yes. Before the policy committee adjourns for the night, I just want to add a couple of things. One is that Mayor Cooper expressed his appreciation to all the commission members for the time you've put into this, to what we're doing, and he just said he wanted to thank everyone. He knows that you're taking your job seriously, and I know it's almost 8 o'clock, and you all started meeting at 6 o'clock tonight. So, I really, I couldn't hang up the phone without just thanking you all for the part that I'm playing. But you all are doing a great job, and so I just want to say thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. We appreciate you. Appreciated your voice yesterday in the room, too. I should say that it was a space where there was room for the dissenting opinion with collaborative spirit. And all of that, I have to say, is led by the likes of leaders like Mr. Lewis in that space, too, and Ms. Bilal. Any additional questions, comments here from the body here before we adjourn? Vice Chair Lucas, anything from you? I thought I maybe cut someone off there. Perhaps I didn't, though. It's okay. All right. Well, feel free to unmute here. If I cut you off, please feel free. You can talk right over me. But if not, then I'll just remind everyone, if you saw on the agenda, we're scheduled for our next meeting here, October 22nd at 6 p.m. We'll be joined by the founder and president of Gideon's Army, as well as community organizer there. We are thrilled to welcome their voice and perspective, and certainly hope everyone's able to join. And we'll have information for the team next week also about our next steps in the review process. So thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ashley.
Of course. Good one, everyone.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.